The screech of brakes pierced the afternoon air. Silas felt his old bicycle wobble as the red Ferrari roared past, missing him by inches. The bike's front wheel caught in a pothole. Metal twisted. He crashed hard onto the hot asphalt. Scissor doors shot up like wings. Sarah stepped out, her heels clicking against the pavement. She looked down at her ex-husband sprawling in the dirt, his work clothes torn and dusty. "Daddy!" Little Lily ran from the school gates, tears streaming down her face. The Ferrari's tinted window rolled down. A man in designer sunglasses leaned out. "Hey, old man, keep that piece of junk away from my ride. You couldn't afford the paint job if you sold everything you own." Sarah laughed. It was cold, sharp. "Come on, Lily, get in the car. Let Daddy play with his broken toys." Silas said nothing. He stared at the Ferrari's license plate. K1NG01. His lips curled into the faintest smile. "Interesting," he whispered, brushing dirt from his jacket. "This car looks familiar."
Hello, friends. I'm Vera. My blood is boiling right now. Have you ever met someone who thinks their expensive car gives them the right to treat others like dirt? It's painful to watch, isn't it? Especially in front of a child. But stay with me, because that arrogance is about to cost them everything.
1 hour earlier, Silas had stood in his driveway, keys in hand. The remote control for the garage felt heavy in his palm. Behind those steel doors sat a collection that would make car enthusiasts weep. A Lamborghini Aventador, 2 Porsches, a vintage Aston Martin, and yes, his red Ferrari with the personalized plates. But today felt different. Today was about teaching Lily something important. He walked to the old shed instead. There, covered in dust and spider webs, sat his father's bicycle. The paint was chipped down to bare metal. The leather seat was cracked and faded. The handlebars were wrapped in tape that had seen better decades. But every scratch told a story of hard work and humble pride. His father had ridden this bike to work every day for 30 years, rain or shine, hot summer days or freezing winter mornings. Never complained, never made excuses. "No, perfect," Silas whispered, running his fingers over the worn frame. 5 years ago, everything had been different. Sarah used to kiss him goodbye every morning before he left for the office. She used to pack his lunch in brown paper bags with little heart drawings. She used to say money didn't matter as long as they had each other and their beautiful daughter. That was before his company hit rough times, before the lawsuit that nearly destroyed everything, before the temporary bankruptcy that lasted 6 brutal months. Sarah had watched their savings disappear, watched him sell his watch collection, watched him trade the luxury cars for beat-up rentals. She couldn't handle it, the stress, the uncertainty, the neighbors whispering, the credit cards getting declined at expensive restaurants. One morning, he came home to find divorce papers on the kitchen table. No discussion, no fighting chance, just a note in her perfect handwriting. "I can't live without money, Silas. I need security. I'm sorry." She had taken half of everything that was left, which wasn't much back then. But she had also taken something far more valuable: his trust, his faith in love, his belief that someone could love him for who he was, not what he owned. Now she was back. Not for him. Never for him. For Lily. Sarah wanted to show off her new boyfriend to their daughter, wanted to prove that mommy had upgraded while daddy was still struggling with his little bicycle. And in his simple life, Silas pedaled through the quiet suburban streets toward Lily's private school, the same school he quietly paid for in full every semester, the same school Sarah couldn't afford on her retail salary. But she didn't need to know that. She thought the scholarship covered everything. His phone buzzed against his leg. A text from his executive assistant. "Sir, the board meeting is moved to 4 p.m. Should I prepare the quarterly reports?" The shareholders are eager to see this quarter's profits. He smiled and put the phone away. Some secrets were worth keeping. Sarah grabbed Lily's hand and yanked her toward the Ferrari. Get in the car. Sweetheart, that dirty old bicycle will ruin your beautiful dress. Lily pulled back, her small fingers clutching Silas's shirt. I want to ride with Daddy. No, baby, Mommy has something special planned. We're going to the country club with Brad. You can swim in the pool and eat fancy food. Brad stepped out of the Ferrari. His suit was expensive, but didn't quite fit right. The fabric pulled at his shoulders. His shoes were polished but scuffed at the toes. Everything about him screamed, trying too hard. He looked down at Silas, who was still kneeling beside his damaged bicycle. You know what? I feel bad for you, old man, living like this, riding around on scrap metal while your daughter watches. Silas examined the bent wheel. The spokes were twisted beyond repair. You damaged my bike, he said quietly. Sarah burst into laughter. Damaged? Brad, can you believe this? He's acting like that pile of junk is worth something. Brad pulled out a leather wallet. It was thick with cash. But Silas noticed something interesting. The bills were all small denominations. Ones and fives, mostly. The kind of wallet someone carries when they want to look rich, but can't afford to actually be rich. How much could that thing be worth? $20. Brad peeled off a $10 bill. Here's 10. Consider it charity. He dropped the money on the ground in front of Silas. The playground fell silent. Other parents stopped their conversations. Children stopped playing. Everyone watched the humiliation unfold. Sarah's eyes gleamed. This was exactly what she wanted. See? Lily? This is why Mommy left Daddy. Real men take care of their families. They drive nice cars and wear nice clothes and don't embarrass their children. Lily started crying harder. Stop being mean to Daddy. Sweetheart, Daddy isn't successful like Brad. Brad owns 3 apartment buildings, and he makes more money in a month than Daddy makes in a year. Brad puffed out his chest. That's right, kid. Your old man here is what we call a loser. But don't worry, your mom and I will show you how real success looks. Silas stared at the $10 bill lying in the dirt. He looked up at Brad's smug face, at Sarah's satisfied smile, at the crowd of people watching his humiliation. Then he noticed something that made him pause. Brad's expensive watch. It was a Rolex. Or at least, it was supposed to be. But Silas knew watches. He'd owned the real version of that exact model. The one on Brad's wrist was a fake, a good fake, but still a fake, slowly. Silas reached down, but instead of picking up the money, he picked up something else. Brad's designer sunglasses had fallen during his dramatic exit from the car. As Silas stood up, he examined the sunglasses carefully. Interesting, he murmured. These are nice, very expensive looking. Oh, Brad snatched them back. Yeah, they should be. They cost more than your bike and your clothes combined. I'm sure they did, Silas said softly. Tell me, Brad, what do you do for work exactly? I told you, real estate, big deals, important clients. Ah, Silas tilted his head. And which company do you work for? Something flickered in Brad's eyes. Nervousness. I'm independent, freelance. Freelance real estate. How interesting. Silas's voice was getting quieter, but somehow more dangerous. You know, you look familiar. Have we met before? Brad shifted uncomfortably. I don't think so. Old man. No. Are you sure? Because I never forget a face, especially when someone wears a suit that expensive to... Silas paused, studying Brad's nervous expression. To pick up children from school. The crowd was listening now. Really listening. Something in Silas's tone had changed. The broken man with the bicycle was gone. In his place stood someone else entirely. Sarah sensed the shift too. Brad, let's just go. We don't need to waste any more time with this. But Brad couldn't move. He was staring at Silas like he'd seen a ghost. You know what the funny thing is? Silas continued, his voice barely above a whisper. I could have sworn I gave someone who looked exactly like you the keys to my Ferrari just last week.
Oh, the audacity. Throwing money on the ground. That is the lowest of the low. I just want to hug Silas and Lily right now. But notice Silas's eyes. He's not scared. He's analyzing. Why do I feel like Brad is about to regret that kick?
Sarah felt a surge of triumph. Finally, Silas was learning his place. She turned to Lily with a victorious smile. You see, sweetheart, when a man doesn't have money, he has to bow down to those who do. That's just how the world works. Lily shook her head violently. Daddy isn't bowing. He's just being nice. Nice doesn't pay for private school. Baby, nice doesn't buy pretty dresses or take us to fancy restaurants. Sarah's voice was sugar sweet, but poisonous. Now come with Brad and me. We're going to show you what real success looks like. She reached for Lily's hand again, but the little girl stepped behind Silas. I want to stay with Daddy. Brad laughed, still high on his power trip. Kid's got loyalty, I'll give her that. Too bad loyalty doesn't pay the bills. He adjusted his fake Rolex and smoothed down his ill-fitting jacket. Don't worry, though, once she spends a weekend with us. She'll understand the difference between winners and losers. The crowd of parents continued to watch. Some looked uncomfortable with the public humiliation. Others seemed to enjoy the drama. But all of them assumed the same thing Sarah did, that the man with the bicycle had been put in his place. Silas straightened up slowly. In his hand, he held Brad's designer sunglasses. You know, Brad, there's something I need to tell you. What's that, old man? This suit you're wearing, it's a nice suit, expensive, but Silas circled around Brad like a shark smelling blood. It doesn't quite fit you properly, does it? Brad's confidence flickered. What are you talking about? The shoulders are too tight, the sleeves are a bit long. It's like you borrowed it from someone bigger than you. Silas's voice was calm, almost conversational. And that watch, beautiful piece, except the second hand ticks instead of sweeping smoothly. Real Rolex watches don't tick like that. The color drained from Brad's face. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Silas smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. You know what else I noticed? You keep calling this your Ferrari, but you never actually said you owned it. You just implied it. Sarah looked between the two men, confusion replacing her earlier smugness. What are you getting at? Silas? I'm getting at the fact that our friend Brad here seems to have forgotten the most important rule of the company where he works. Silas paused dramatically. Never, ever take the boss's car without permission. Brad went completely white. His hand started shaking. Sir, I can explain. Sir? Sarah's voice was sharp with confusion. Why did you call him, sir? Brad's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. He looked around desperately, as if searching for an escape route. Silas continued his slow circle. You see, Sarah, our friend Brad here isn't exactly the successful real estate mogul he's been pretending to be. Are you, Brad? Please, Brad whispered. I was just trying to impress her. I never meant any harm. The crowd was dead silent now. Even the children had stopped playing to listen. What are you talking about? Sarah demanded, but her voice had lost its edge. Fear was creeping in. Silas reached into his pocket and pulled out a small remote. He pressed a button, and the Ferrari's engine turned off with a soft mechanical sigh. I'm talking about the fact that Brad here is my employee. And that Ferrari, the one with the license plate K1NG01, Silas held up a set of keys. It belongs to me. The silence stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. Brad dropped to his knees on the hot asphalt. Mr. Chen, please, I can explain everything. I was going to return it tonight. I swear. I needed to impress her. His voice cracked with desperation. You know how hard it's been for me since my divorce. I haven't had a date in 2 years. Sarah staggered backward as if she'd been slapped. Mr. Chen? As in Chen Industries, the tech company? Silas nodded calmly. The same company where Brad here works as a probationary driver. His job was to take my cars for routine maintenance while I was out of town this week. Instead, he decided to play pretend. The crowd erupted in whispers. Everyone knew Chen Industries. The logo was on half the buildings in the city. Their phones, their computers, their smart home systems all bore the Chen name. You're lying, Sarah breathed. Silas, this is some kind of joke. You ride a bicycle. You live in that tiny apartment. You're, broke? Silas finished. Yes, I was 5 years ago for exactly 6 months. And the moment things got difficult, you ran. He looked at her with something that might have been pity. You never even gave me a chance to rebuild. You just left. Brad was sobbing now. Sir, please don't fire me. My ex-wife already took half my salary in alimony. I can't afford to lose this job. You should have thought about that before you stole my property. Silas's voice was ice cold. And before you humiliated me in front of my daughter. He pressed another button on his remote. The Ferrari's trunk popped open, revealing something that made the crowd gasp. Inside was his father's bicycle, but not the old, rusty one they'd seen him riding. This was clearly the same frame, but it had been completely restored. The paint was pristine. The leather seat was rich and supple. The components were top of the line. You see, I keep this bike in my car as a reminder, Silas explained, lifting it out effortlessly. A reminder of where I came from, of the values my father taught me, of what really matters in life. The bicycle he'd been riding, the broken, beat-up one, was actually a cheap decoy he used when he wanted to stay humble, when he wanted to teach his daughter important lessons about not judging people by their possessions. Sarah was crying now, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Silas, please, I made a mistake. I was young and scared and stupid. Can't we try again for Lily's sake? Silas gently placed Lily in the passenger seat of the Ferrari and buckled her seatbelt. She looked up at him with shining eyes. Daddy, are we really rich? We're really blessed, sweetheart. There's a difference. He turned back to Sarah. You didn't leave because you were young or scared. You left because you never loved me. You loved my money, and the moment it was gone, so were you. That's not true, isn't it? You're here right now, begging for another chance. But 5 minutes ago, when you thought I was still poor, you were throwing money at me like I was a beggar. Silas climbed into the driver's seat. The V12 engine roared to life with a sound like controlled thunder. As for you, Brad, he called up through the window, security will escort you from the premises Monday morning. I suggest you start looking for new employment. The Ferrari pulled away slowly, leaving Brad kneeling in the street and Sarah standing alone, watching the taillights disappear around the corner. Sarah ran after the car, her heels clicking frantically on the asphalt. Silas, wait, please. The Ferrari stopped at the red light just ahead. Sarah caught up, pounding on the passenger window where Lily sat. Baby, tell Daddy that Mommy made a mistake. Tell him Mommy loves him. Lily looked at her mother through the glass, then up at her father. Daddy, why is Mommy crying? Silas's jaw tightened. Because sometimes, sweetheart, people only realize what they had after they've lost it forever. The light turned green, but Silas didn't move. Instead, he rolled down the window just enough to speak. Sarah, for 5 years I've wondered if I made the right choice letting you go, if maybe I should have fought harder, if maybe love could have conquered your need for security. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. But watching you today, seeing how easily you threw me away again the moment you thought I was still broken, I have my answer. Silas, please, I've changed. I can change. No, you can't, because this isn't about change. It's about who you are at your core. You chose a man you thought was rich over the father of your child. You tried to teach our daughter to look down on people based on what they drive. You threw money at me like I was dirt. He shook his head. You're not a gold digger. Sarah, you're worse. You're someone who's forgot how to see people as human beings. Behind them, police sirens wailed. Someone had called about the disturbance. Brad was being led away in handcuffs for vehicle theft. Daddy, Lily said softly, can we get ice cream now? Silas smiled, his first real smile of the day. Of course, Princess, what flavor do you want? Chocolate. And can we take the long way home? I like riding in your car. It's our car, sweetheart. And yes, we can take the long way. As they drove away, Silas glanced in the rearview mirror. Sarah stood alone on the sidewalk, watching them disappear. The parents from the school were still staring. Some were taking pictures with their phones. By tomorrow, the story would be all over social media. Daddy, Lily asked as they pulled into the ice cream shop, are we going to be okay? Silas reached over and squeezed her small hand. We're going to be better than okay, baby. We're going to be happy. And for the first time in 5 years, he truly meant it.
Wow! Did you see Sarah's face when Silas took the keys back? Priceless, but friends, the real lesson here isn't about the Ferrari, it's about integrity. Silas rode a bike to teach his daughter humility, while Brad stole a car to fake success. In the end, the truth always reveals itself. Sarah chased gold and ended up with nothing but dust. Remember, never look down on anyone unless you're helping them up. If you enjoyed Silas's sweet revenge, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. I'm Vera, sending you love and wisdom. Bye for now.